Welcome back to AAKP's annual patient meeting. My name is Paul Conway and I serve as the Chair of Policy and Global Affairs for AAKP. In this next panel, you'll learn how patient insight data and research is being applied through innovation, regulatory policy, and future research. For our next speaker, we have Dr. Michelle Tarver, who serves as the Deputy Director of the Office of Strategic Partnerships and Scientific Innovation at the FDA's Center for Devices. Dr. Tarver has been a long-time patient champion, and she makes certain that patient insight data is included across the product development lifecycle in FDA's deliberations. She's been very focused on making certain that the science of patient insights is elevated within FDA and, just as importantly, in the private sector, so that the private sector is strongly encouraged to work with patient advocates and patients like you to make certain that your lived experiences and insights are incorporated when companies are developing new devices. Go right ahead, Dr. Tarver. It's an honor to have you today.
Thank you so much, Paul, and thank you, AAKP, for inviting me to speak with you all about our Patient Science and Engagement Program. I'm Michelle Tarver. I'm the Deputy Director of the Office of Strategic Partnerships and Technology Innovation. I want to share with you our prevailing sentiment that you've heard many from our center talk about, that patients are at the heart of everything we do. We are inspired by your experiences of living with your health conditions, having to manage them with various drugs and devices, and we want to hear about it and capture that and make sure that it's reflected in our evaluation of the products that are going to be used in your treatment. So we're inspired by you, but we're driven by science. We want to make sure that we collect information from you in a structured and well-defined way. So you all have probably heard the terms patient science, patient engagement, and I want to clarify what I mean when I say those words. Patient engagement is not science. It instead is a relationship. It is an opportunity for us to learn from one another, patients and regulators, as well as other stakeholders, and for us to work together across the total product life cycle of a medical device. It is foundational to the science. Science, by its very definition, is structured, well-defined collections of data from patients so that it can be leveraged as evidence in our decision-making. The two types I'd like to focus on in this slide are patient-reported outcomes, which are a measure of how people feel and function. And these are typically part of an outcome in a clinical trial. This is different than patient preference information. Patient preference information looks at how patients weigh the values of the risks and benefits associated with their treatment or its alternative, like I described in the prior slide. This is usually done outside of the context of a clinical trial, but may be used as evidence that we as regulators would consider in our weighing of those same benefits and risks when we're making our regulatory decision. Now, I've described for you patient preference information and clinical outcome assessments, of which patient-reported outcomes is one feature. But I haven't talked about the new kid on the block, which is patient-generated health data. This data is probably something that we're all contributing to daily and continuously. It's those sensors that we have on our wrists, like our smartwatches and phones. It may be our smart homes that are collecting data on our daily lived experiences. We are looking at ways that we can bring that data to bear on our regulatory decision-making, either in the pre-market or in the post-market setting. So I said that engagement was foundational, and it's where it should all start. And I want to share with you some of the mechanisms that we use at the Center for Devices and Radiological Health to engage with patients. One of them is the patient and caregiver connection. You see on this slide that there are 19 patient organizations which we formally partner with, of which the American Association of Kidney Patients is one. AAKP was instrumental during the COVID-19 public health emergency response in sending surveys to its membership and helping us understand if there were particular shortages that patients were experiencing in managing their kidney disease. This information was critical as we were looking at other sources of information and shaping our shortage response efforts. So thank you all, and thank you AAKP for that work as part of our connection partners. We also have mechanisms to get formal recommendations from patients. In fact, our Patient Engagement Advisory Committee is the only committee like it in the agency. It's comprised solely of patients, caregivers, and patient advocates, and they provide formal advice to FDA on complex general scientific matters related to medical devices. As you can see on the slide, we've had 6 of them over the years, with the most recent one being focused on augmented and virtual reality devices. These meetings are not just conversations, but they actually lead to actionable outputs. One such output has been guidance. We heard at our first meeting the importance of having patients engage as advisors in the design and conduct of clinical investigations. And as such, we issued draft guidance and then final guidance this past year on ways in which companies could do that, knowing that by getting patients involved at the table with other key opinion leaders, a trial can be shaped and designed in a way that it measures what's important to patients and it considers patient-friendly approaches. We also believe in those collaborative efforts being part of the research enterprise in general. Our center undertakes a number of research efforts, one of them being a patient preference research. And as part of our research approach, we have patients as part of our study group. In fact, we are working currently with KHI and others on doing a patient preference study on theoretical dialysis device that would be a wearable and seeing how patients weigh the benefits and risks that could potentially be associated with such a device. This work is important because it can help shape how we design clinical trials, helps shape performance goals, and other work in that arena. So we thank you all for participating, for contributing your perspective and viewpoint, and we hope you stay tuned because these papers are coming out soon. Not only is it important for us to do research on patients in general, but it's also important that we intentionally seek diverse perspectives in the work that we do. We partner on research efforts that bring to bear the pediatric voice, so children's voices as well as adults. That brings the voices of various genders, racial, and ethnic background individuals into the conversation. We also think it's important to get the perspectives of people who have various levels of literacy and education, as well as who speak different languages. We are really working to make sure that devices are geared to meet the needs of all patients. And this is a critical element of our current strategic priority, which we are working to advance health equity. We saw with the COVID public health emergency, as well as other efforts over the decades, that health equity is a significant concern. And we are taking strides to help ensure that the health technologies that are available to care and treat for patients meet the needs of all patients. We believe that digital health technologies have the potential to bridge the divide between various populations and can help advance better healthcare, quality of life, and wellness for all. Really, no person should be left behind in healthcare, and we are working to ensure that. But we know none of this can be done alone. It really is important that we collaborate with others across the stakeholder ecosystem, as well as across the globe. Our collaborative community strategic priority, which was launched years ago, has really gained momentum. It's a grassroots effort where the community says this is an issue we should focus on, and all of these people need to be at the table. And FDA may be one of those participating members. We currently participate in 12 collaborative communities, and there are about 9 or 10 others that we've been in conversation with. So I encourage you to view this as a potential approach to bringing all the relevant voices to the table to tackle complex challenges collaboratively. The last thing that I'd like to emphasize for you all is that a lot of the work that we do is made possible through funding through the Medical Device User Fee Amendments, or MDUFA. Under MDUFA 4, our Patient Science and Engagement Program was established, and I will tell you that we exceeded the commitments that we made under that agreement. And now we're at another stage. We're at the Medical Device User Fee Amendment 5 recommendations. And as part of drafting and negotiating those recommendations, we brought a number of stakeholders into the conversation, including patients, healthcare providers, and researchers. And I am pleased to say that AAKP provided their feedback as part of this process. We are hoping to expand what we've done with patients, helping to educate them so that they can contribute actively to conversations with industry as well as other key opinion leaders. That we will expand our patient science work, including diverse perspectives and voices in the work, and then really take some strides in patient-generated health data to generate evidence that can support its use in the evaluation of medical devices. I ask that you all continue to be such fantastic partners in our work. And if you have any questions about the work that we are doing or going to do, I encourage you to visit our websites and sign up for our newsletter. We share the work that we're doing pretty regularly. And so we look forward to continuing to partner with AAKP on work as well as others. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tarver, and thank you for your ongoing collaboration with patient organizations and patients, and especially thank you for your public service to the United States.